Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, last night Celebrity announced their protocols for their ships, including the Celebrity Edge that's leaving on the 26th, the Celebrity Millennium that's going on now, the new Summit announced sailings that are going to be happening later in July. And they're announcing all the protocols and how they're going to get by Governor DeSantis's you can't ask for vaccine passports. And so I listened to the whole thing. In fact, I've listened to it twice now. And I have to admit, I'm even more confused now than I was before. Okay, I skipped over the intro where she's just saying hi to all the travel agents, as well as the part where they lost sound and she was talking and talking and talking and no one heard a thing she said, and then they reset. And now let's begin by listening to exactly what they're saying about U.S. sailings. Here we go.
Protocols, but it's the real meaty ones, the ones that we've all been waiting for, that we want to make sure you know. Now, I want to reference this. These are for U.S. sailing travel requirements. This is not St. Martin and Greece and the Galapagos. This is when we sail out of the United States. You with me? Okay, really important to remember. All travelers entering the United States must present a negative test and a I'm going to say it exactly, NAAT or antigen test taken 3 days before their flight departs. This is when you're coming back. I'm not sure why we did that one first, but it's all good. But this is okay, because on the ship, if you are outside of the United States and you're coming back, we're going to do an antigen test so that everybody will have that test. Now that's coming outside, right? So if you're coming from Greece or whatever. But let's look at the next one.
Okay, so as myself from Canada, if I was to take one of these cruises, they are going to provide me with a test for the way back. I don't have to worry about quarantining in a hotel for 3 days before I'm waiting for a test and then I can fly out. They'll take my test on the cruise ship and I can use that to fly home. Okay, good. All right.
All guests are required to complete a health acknowledgement and health questionnaire. The number of required tests may differ based on the itinerary. This is actually a little bit confusing. All I really want y'all to know is that everybody will have to fill out that health acknowledgement, health questionnaire, just like, by the way, we've done forever. When you get there and you check those boxes like we used to, well, now they'll have that, but it will include stuff about COVID, right? And then you also need to know that following the CDC guidelines, we will sail, no matter where, we will sail with at least 95% of our guests vaccinated and 100% of our crew vaccinated.
Okay, so that's what we've been expecting. That's what they've been announcing. And of course, their first sailing is out of Florida. So let's see what they're going to say about how they're going to get by that quarantine. You can't ask for a vaccine passport. You can't ask for it in the state of Florida. Let's see how they're going to get by that.
Now, let me just go into a little bit more detail. All guests ages 16 and above must be fully vaccinated at least 2 weeks before. And as of August 1, they must be fully vaccinated if you are 12 years of age or older, okay? We will require documentation of full vaccination from all guests who are eligible. So that means 16 and older or 12 and older, in the form of that original card. Now, this is for everybody, but Florida is a little bit different, okay? Florida, because we honor the government, we honor DeSantis, we will still go out with 95% of our, 100% of our crew and 95% of our guests vaccinated. But in Florida, we will not require you to have to show proof of vaccination, because we are doing this exactly the right way. But we will go out with 95% of our guests still vaccinated.
Okay, so here's where me and 4,000 travel agents online got completely confused, right? We are not going to ask for proof of vaccination in Florida, but we are going out with 95% passengers vaccinated. But we're not going to ask for proof. But we guarantee we're going out with 95% vaccinated. You see where you see how I get confused on this? And I wasn't the only one. Every single person was on the same kind of thing, saying, well, wait, how? How are you going to do it? Let us know how you're going to do it so we can tell our clients and us who want to travel, who want to go on these trips, how exactly you're going to do that, right? How exactly are you going to differentiate? But let's continue.
Now, I want you to read the bottom down there. Guests who do not provide documentation of full vaccination will be considered unvaccinated and will require a COVID test at the terminal at their own expense. Guests that do not meet the requirements will be denied boarding. Unvaccinated guests may be restricted from going ashore depending on some local government restrictions, and everyone is a little bit different, okay? So I want to let you know that if you come on the ship and you're not vaccinated, there will be a set of protocols and requirements, including wearing masks and those types of things, taking tests, and it will be at your expense. We don't know how much of that expense will be because we're looking at how much the tests are going to cost. However, we still will go out with 95% of our guests vaccinated.
Okay, again, they're saying 95% guests vaccinated. And if you get on the ship and you're unvaccinated, you will have to follow a different set of protocols. But again, there's no one saying how they're going to tell one person from the other on the cruise ship. Are you going to have to wear an armband that says you're vaccinated, I'm not vaccinated, this sort of thing? How are you going to tell one passenger from another passenger whether or not they've been vaccinated? How? This is what I want to know. This is what guests want to know. I have clients who are ready to travel, but they want to go on a vaccinated cruise. And until you can tell them how you're going to vaccinate everybody, prove to everybody in Florida that they are vaccinated, they're not going to sail right now. And in fact, even Celebrity has admitted that they have a very limited amount of people picking up these cruises right now. There's lots of availability. One of the reasons is the price in a lot of these cases, and another is the uncertainty of what the heck these protocols are and how you're going to enforce them. And so far, this is clearing it up for me.
Let's keep going to the next page because this kind of went into a little bit of this here. Following the CDC guidelines, and I'm just reading the highlighted parts, masks will not be required. This is really important. Following the CDC guidelines, masks will not be required for vaccinated guests and children 15 years of age and younger until August 1st, right? And then August 1st, it will be 11 years of age or younger because the 12-year-olds and above will be able to be vaccinated. Unvaccinated guests are required to wear a mask at all times. So we are absolutely going to have 95% of our guests vaccinated. And then children that can't get vaccinated will not have to wear masks. But in the event that we have someone in that 5% that comes on board unvaccinated, they will need to wear a mask.
Okay, again, how are you going to tell? How are you going to tell somebody isn't vaccinated? Once they're in a crowd of 15 to 2,000 people, how are you going to tell that person in the middle of the theater isn't vaccinated? Because I guarantee you every single one of them in the theater aren't wearing a mask. If I'm sitting in the theater with 100 other people and they're not wearing a mask, I'm not putting a mask on if I don't have to, right? It's common logic that that's what's going to happen. So tell us why or how you're going to tell 95% people are vaccinated, and how are you going to tell who isn't? I haven't heard that yet, and I'm still waiting.
Independent on your own tours are available unless locally restricted. Okay. Most all of the places that we visit, particularly on the US departing cruises, are allowing people to go off on your own. But there is still a couple of places that will only let you go off on our curated tours. So let me give you an example. Celebrity curated tours are required in Roatan, but right now, Costa Maya, Cozumel, St. Thomas, St. Martin, and Nassau will allow you to go on your own if you choose. Now, we still also always recommend that you go on our curated tours, but unless it's restricted by their particular place, you have the choice to go on your own or to go independent.
Okay, so far, all of the ports of call, only one you have to go ashore with a curated shore excursion. The rest you're able to do on your own. That's not so bad. It's only Roatan right now. So the next part they go into is that they are talking about providing people with the testing on disembarkation. And so I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I've skipped ahead to the next part, which is them talking about what the insurance and what's covered if something happens on the cruise. And I thought that would be a pretty important thing.
So that if people ask, what if I get COVID right before I come? You can get a full refund if you get COVID 14 days before. If I get it at the pier and I test positive, you get a refund, I've got the hiccups, full refund, and travel assistance only if you book through Flights by Celebrity. We will get you home. Otherwise, they will have to get themselves home, but they get a full refund. And if you happen to get COVID during the cruise, which we don't think will happen, you will get 100% refund of the cruise fare, medical coverage on board, and incremental travel and lodging costs to get you home.
Okay, that's actually a pretty good policy. Within 14 days, which is the incubation period of COVID, if you test positive, you can get a full refund for your cruise. If you test at the airport or at the cruise port, you get a full refund and travel assistance if you book through Celebrity for your flights back. They'll cover that. During your cruise, you get 100% refund for your cruise, medical coverage while you're on board, so you're not going to have any extra costs on board, as well as it covers any incremental travel, lodging to get you home. They're covering that as well. So that's a pretty good deal, and that is also applicable to all immediate family members or those traveling in the same cabin. And it also for those who are identified as a close contact and have to get isolated. Those people will be covered and eligible for this as well. So in order to qualify this though, that only goes right now until October 31st. So quite a while yet to go. So that's a good policy. I like that policy. Okay, now let's go to the question period part of it where people were typing in the question. And I imagine people are going to ask, well, I do know because I watched this already. How are you going to tell? How are you going to say, yes, 95% is vaccinated? How are you going to do that? Quickly, before we go into the Q&A section here, let me Q&A you and say, hey, why not subscribe to the channel for more cruise news as we find out as cruising's starting, all the different ships, all the different protocols. It's different everywhere. You can't tell the players without a program. So join this program so you can find out all the cruise news and keep in touch. Yeah, it doesn't cost anything. Just hit the subscribe button. It's an easy thing to do.
What are the questions, everybody?
Okay, Dondra, the number one question is, how are we going to know it is at 95%? Can you explain that other 5% and what that'll consist of, please?
Absolutely. That's not anything you have to worry about. We're going to manage that. We've got codes. We've got, if we have to shut down cabin categories or open cabin categories, we are going to make sure that's on us, not you. We're going to make sure that we sail at 95% of our guests vaccinated.
Okay. And that's really the only time they address it. That's on us. That's not on you guys. Okay, but how do we explain that to our clients? How do I explain that to myself? You're guaranteeing 95% passengers will be vaccinated, but you're not telling us how you're going to do it. How are you going to, you have to provide proof of vaccine. Okay, when, where, at the port, after the port? Are you going to have a questionnaire on the ship? Are people going to be on board already? Is it going to be part of that health protocol piece of paper that you're going to say, yes, I've been vaccinated or not, I've been vaccinated? Guess what? That's breaking the Florida law if you're putting it on that health questionnaire because you're asking about the vaccine. You're not allowed to do that. So I don't understand how they're going to do it unless you have to enter all this information ahead of time before you even show up at the cruise port. As I've said before, that is a way for them to do this that the state of Florida has no control over. They cannot mandate the internet. They cannot require the internet to, okay, you can only do that, you can't do this. Because the internet deals with everybody in the world. So for me in Canada, they can ask me to enter in the information on the internet, and I enter in my information, and if I show them my vaccine number and everything, that's my proof. They mark it down on their code, he's been vaccinated, and now I'm part of the 95%. Is that how they're doing it? But boy, are they so unclear on how they're going to do it. That's on us. Don't worry about it, it's on us. But we're being asked, how are they going to do it? People want to know before we book them. People want to know how you're going to do it, and they're being very, very vague. Same as Carnival Cruise Line, same as Royal Caribbean Cruise Line, same as every cruise line starting up. Very, very vague when it comes to Texas and Florida. When they're opening up in other states, they're saying you're going to have to show it, and they're not even saying there's going to be any protocols in place because you don't have to. You're allowed to ask in different states. You're allowed to ask in New York. You're allowed to ask in California. You're allowed to ask in Washington. So that's not the issue. It's only those two states right now. And I don't know about you guys, but this certainly didn't clear anything up for me. Did you guys hear anything in this that said, this is how they're going to ask for proof of vaccines in Florida and get around the no passport issue? Because I certainly didn't. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. We'll see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world. Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.